Okay, so we're going to work on metric system conversions today, just converting within the metric system. And I know in the United States we don't use metric system, although I don't know when it was, back in the 1970s I believe they said that we were going to adopt it. It just never really happened. I believe, doing a little research, I believe there's only 3 countries left that don't use the metric system. The United States, Liberia, and Myanmar, also known as Burma. So a little bit of trivia for you there. Anyway, in the metric system, some things that will help you maybe get a better point of reference. In the metric system for length, usually the most common used measurements are millimeter, centimeter, meter, and kilometer. And some things you could think about: a millimeter is about the thickness of a dime, and a centimeter is about the width of a thumbnail. A meter is about the distance from the doorknob to the floor. Kilometer, more than half a mile, a little more than half a mile. When we talk capacity, how much something holds, metric, usually the 2 most common are milliliter and liter. A milliliter is very little. It's about 5 drops of water. A liter is a little more than a quart of milk. And in the metric system for mass, the commonly used measurements are milligram, gram, and kilogram. Milligram is about a speck of a sawdust. Very little. You could hardly tell it's there. A gram is about the mass of a paperclip. Kilogram is half of a math book. Kind of a tough reference there to think half of a math book. Stapler maybe is a good idea for a kilogram. Alright, so first one just says choose what you think an appropriate metric unit would be and explain your choice. So maybe pause the video, try these 4, and then come back and see if you agree with mine. Alright, so hopefully you've tried them all 4. Length of a broom, I would likely go with meter. I would assume a broom is, close to a meter, maybe just a little shorter or a little longer. But to me, millimeter or kilometer obviously wouldn't fit. In letter B, the mass of an energy bar or a candy bar, I think you got to go with grams there. It seems silly to compare it to milligrams, specks of sawdust, or to compare it to kilograms, like a stapler, unless it was a huge candy bar, I guess. Mass of a horse in letter C, I think you got to go kilograms there. All the other measurements of mass just don't seem right. Grams or milligrams don't seem to be a close fit at all. Capacity of a car's gas tank, I think you got to go with liters. If you think back, if you've ever been to another country, lots of times gas at the stations, called petrol stations often, is sold by the liter instead of by the gallon. And if you think of the other measurements, milliliter, comparing how much gas you buy to drops of water, probably not even close. So I would have to go with liter on that. Second one, which one do you think would be a reasonable estimate? And again, give an explanation why you think that. Maybe pause the video, try these, and come back to it. So hopefully you've had time to check them over. Distance between 2 cities, well, 50 millimeters or 50 kilometers. Remember, a millimeter, if you think back, a millimeter is the thickness of a dime. Well, 2 cities probably are not 50 dimes apart. Now, some kids argue and they say, well, what if it's St. Michael and Albertville right at the border? Well, that's different. But if we're talking about you have to travel from one city to another, 50 kilometers only makes sense. An amount of liquid that an eyedropper would hold, 10 milliliters or 10 liters. Well, remember, milliliters, each milliliter is like 5 drops of water. So an eyedropper using milliliters would make sense. An eyedropper that held 10 liters would be extremely large, Paul Bunyan size, I guess. You've probably seen this chart here at the bottom. In science class, you've probably seen this one. Now, up on top, this is just another form. It talks about how in length our basic unit is meters, and there are things called decimeters, which are a tenth, and centimeters, which are a hundredth, and millimeters, which are a thousandth of a meter. And there are things called decameters, which are 10 meters, hectometers, which are 100 meters, and kilometers are 1,000 meters. So this just gives the same information, the chart at the top. The chart at the bottom, okay, kind of does the same thing. The nice thing about the chart here at the bottom that you've used in science class with the steps, it kind of tells you how you can move your decimal point, and it makes conversion in this metric units a lot simpler. So they want us to complete each statement here. First one, letter A, they want us to change 35 milliliters into liters. And the second one, they want to figure out how many grams does it take to equal 250 kilograms. And the third one says how many centimeters is the same as 60 meters. So pause the video here and then come back and check in with me and see if we get the same answers. Alright, so hopefully you've taken time to check them over. The first one says start with 35 milliliters. Well, I know milli is way down here, and they want me to change it into liters, and liters are a basic unit. So to get from milliliters to liters, I have to jump 1, 2, 3 times to the left, which means I'm going to grab the decimal, and if you don't see a decimal, remember it's at the end, I got to grab the decimal and move it 3 times to the left. 1, 2, 3. Decimal is now here. Fill in the open spaces with a space holder, a 0. That means 35 milliliters is 0.035, or 35 thousandths of a liter. In letter B, they say we need to know how many grams. Grams are a basic unit. How many grams are the same as 250 kilograms? So we're starting here at kilograms. We have 250 kilograms. We got to get to grams, so I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 times down the steps, 3 times to the right. So we're going to grab the decimal. Remember, if you don't see it, it's at the end. This time we have to go 3 times to the right. 1, 2, 3, and we got to fill in all the open spaces with a space holder, a 0. So 250 kilograms is the same as 250,000 grams. The third one says you have 60 meters. Meters are a basic unit. You have 60 meters and you have to turn them into centimeters. Let's see, meters are my basic unit, so I'm here at the basic unit, and I need to get to centimeters. 1, 2, 2 spaces to the right, grab the decimal. It's right here when you don't see it. 2 spaces to the right, fill in. So 60 meters is the same as 6,000 centimeters. So hopefully this chart helps you. It makes some sense. Go ahead and practice the next two, and again come back and check in with me. Alright, so you checked it out. Letter A talks about the highest kite ever flown. Now this is from our book, which is approximately 10 to 15 years old, so that record maybe has been broken. But anyway, 3.8 kilometers, that's pretty high up. They want us to change the kilometers or kilometers into meters. So again, we're going to figure out where to start. We're starting at kilometers. It says change them into meters. 1, 2, 3 jumps to the left because meters are a basic unit. So grab the decimal in 3.8. 1, 2, 3 spaces to the right. I maybe said left earlier. 3 spaces to the right. 3 jumps to the right to get to meters. So I moved it 3 times. Fill in the 2 open spaces. 3.8 kilometers is 3,800 meters. In the second one, it says you need 0.25 liters. That's 25 hundredths, or a fourth of a liter. And they want us to change those liters into milliliters. Let's see, liters are a basic unit, so I'm going to start here at the basic unit, and they want us to turn that into milli. 1, 2, 3 spaces to the right, grab the decimal. 1, 2, 3 spaces to the right, fill in with a 0. 250 milliliters. 0.25 liters is the same as 250 milliliters. Hopefully using this chart helps you. Good luck and have a good day.